What's up, YouTube people? Welcome back to another video. Today we got something a little different for the channel. Well, some of you may recognize this bike. Maybe this was your first bike. Maybe you learned to ride a motorcycle on a bike just like this. Right in front of me we have a 1999 Honda Rebel 250, which was actually given to me for free. So the bike was given to me by my buddy. It was his mom's bike. My guess was it was her first bike or a bike that she learned to ride on. And this is more or less what these 250s are kind of known for, being most people's beginner bikes. They got Honda's reliability behind them, very light, super easy to ride. This is a 233cc, they call it a 250, parallel twin, so 2-cylinder. We got dual exhaust, single carb, disc front brakes, drum rear brakes. This one's been sitting for the last 16 years with the last registration tag at a 2010, but we did get a key for this bike, a title with registration. So I'm pretty excited to get into this one. Our goal today is to just kind of go over this bike, see if it's worth fixing, potentially get it running, and kind of go from there. Like I said, this bike's a bit rough. Old tires, rust on the chain. Some of you'll notice the carburetor's missing. I do have it on the bench over here along with the key and some bolts and miscellaneous stuff here. We got some dents in the tank, both sides, and unfortunately a missing gas cap, and this thing is absolutely full of rust. The awesome part is we have 6,000 original miles, which is pretty awesome. So really excited there. Front tires dry cracking, and that one's done. Along with our dust seals on our fork, you can see they're cracking. They're not leaking yet, but you know, this bike's going on 27 years old now, and these will have to be replaced at some point. As some of you saw in the beginning, it was a struggle to push this bike up onto the lift, and that's because the front brakes are somewhat locked up. We have pressure, but it's not releasing that pressure, so we're gonna have to potentially rebuild the master cylinder, the caliper, and of course go through our brake line. But it seems to be relatively complete. We have a broken blinker stem back here. Our seats have ripped, so they'll have to be reupholstered. Our blinker fluid is what looks to be topped off, so I'm happy there. And broken mirror, bent levers. This guy's just kind of floating here. We'll pop that back on there. But yeah, a mostly complete bike. And like I said, on the bench, we have most of the other parts. I haven't really messed with this thing much other than the carburetor, which was half on the bike when I got it. So I decided to pull it off, clean it, and rebuild it just so I had it done. But carburetor's ready to go. What we have in here is just some, like I said, miscellaneous clamps, bolts, stuff like that. But we did get a key for the bike. What we're gonna go ahead and do is stick the key in here and see if it actually turns the ignition. And it does. No power, go figure. If there is a battery in here, I'm sure it's beyond dead, going on 27 years. And this thing's been sitting 16 of that at least. So let's pull this cover here. Normally it's bolted and it's just kind of floating here. So we'll see if we have a battery. Battery's gonna be on our, all right, feels like it's broken. No battery, go figure. That's okay. Also broke a tab here on the back side of our plastic. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and stick a battery in this guy and see if we can get some lights and crankage and kind of go from there. So let's stick a battery in this thing. What I bought was a little knockoff 7 LBS battery. And what I'm gonna do before we stick that in there is remove our strap. And I like to just take a wire brush and clean both sides, both terminals. And that's just because it's been sitting out in the elements and it really just can't hurt. Stick our battery in and we'll hook our terminals up. Now that our battery's hooked up, let's see if we have any action with the key. Turn it to the on position. We got a neutral light. We got a headlight. Oh. We got a headlight. Let's try high beam. We got a high beam. I don't want to hit our starter button just quite yet. Let's see. Left turn signal. This is super sticky, this switch, which kind of happens when they sit out in the sun. Let me try to spray something in here. We'll work the switch back and forth a little bit. See how nice this freed up? Fortunately, we still don't have any turn signals, but could be a contact issue here, could be a fuse. See, we have a horn. No horn. We do have a high-low. I know sometimes you gotta hit these things with your hand, they get stuck. No luck. Let's see our brake light in the back. We got ourselves a running light. Let's see if we have a brake light. I hit the foot brake. Seems like we got a sticky switch, potentially. Oh, look at that, we got a tail light. Let's see if our foot brake will light up if I manually open it. And we got both brake lights, awesome. See, our license plate light decided to light up as well. So the only thing we're missing is our start switch and our turn signals, which could be and our horn, which could be a fuse, but I have nothing. But we'll worry about that stuff later. What I want to see is if we're able to crank it. And what we're going to do first is pull our spark plugs, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil in the cylinders. And that's only because this bike's been sitting for potentially 16 years. And I don't want to dry crank it and potentially do more damage. So put a little oil in the cylinders. While we're there, we'll check for spark and compression. Left side plug, let's pull our boot. And then I have a 5/8 socket ratchet. Pull these out. Wow. This spark plug looks almost new. That's interesting. It's possible somebody tried to get this running prior. NGK spark plug doesn't look that new. CR6 HSA, I believe that's what it calls for. Let's check the other side. And this one also looks new. Huh. Let's throw some oil in the cylinders and check for spark. All right, both plugs hooked up to the boots. We got oil in the cylinder. Let's turn our key back on and see if we get any sort of action with the start button. I'm gonna go ahead and flick this thing a few times just to be sure. Here goes nothing. Got something. Oh yeah. Seemed like it clicked before, but it could just be because the contacts on the inside of here are dirty, but we got crankage. Let's check for spark. Our left cylinder. Oh, sweet. Nice blue spark. And then our right side. Awesome, nice blue spark as well. Let's go ahead and check compression. Our left cylinder's hooked up. I would say hold the throttle wide open, but because we don't have a carburetor, it's perfect. Go ahead and hit the starter button for a few revolutions. 129, call it 130. Cool, that side will run. Let's check the other side. And our right cylinder. Bit lower, but then compression may go up if we can get it running. Not super worried about it right this second either way, and if that's the case, we may check the valves, but I guess there's nothing left to do at this point but to put everything back together, and let's hook our carburetor up. So to throw our carburetor on, what I want to do is remove our gas tank and both our seats. Lucky for me, they're all loose already. So our rear seat just kind of slides out. It looks like there's 2 bolts that come in the back here. Our front seat has another 2 bolts on each side. That'll come off. And obviously our fuel line's not hooked up, so our tank should come up in the back and slide toward the rear. Just like that. Now, another thing I noticed, which was kind of interesting when I pulled the carburetor, was this gasket here, which I don't believe goes here. I could be wrong, but it feels like, or looks like something somebody made, but it is kind of a green color like what Honda would use. But what's interesting is this gasket would then made up to this O-ring here, unless there's some sort of isolator missing, but I feel like it would make more sense if this just went right on. Let me prop the camera up and we'll get the carburetor all bolted up. Another thing I wanted to do before that as well is check our airbox. So what we'll do is we'll kind of pop this cover up and not try to break it. It is bolted here. This one just is not. And there's 4 Phillips heads, one's missing. Feels like this has been off before. Clean there, but not so clean in there. Looks like we just pull back here on the tab. And I think this guy slides out. Oh, pull this guy out. You know, I've seen worse, to be honest. I mean, it's dirty. I think what I'm gonna do for right this second is set this to the side and just run the airbox open so it's easier for me to hook everything up. Make sure this is all clean. But we will start with grabbing our carburetor. What I like to do too, because these boots get old, is spray a little silicone spray. And that's just my preference. Well, I got the throttle cables mounted. I was missing the original hardware here because it was semi apart when I got it, but it's on, 2 bolts, got play, throttle snaps back. We're about to put some fuel in it and see what happens. One other thing I wanted to mention to those that don't know, this carburetor is a little different than your standard carburetors. Since I didn't have it apart on video, I'm just gonna go over it just briefly. So it does have a butterfly valve, which is in line with our linkage of sorts here. And then we have a vacuum operated slide, so the diaphragm sits up top. On top of that, it also has an accelerator pump, which is inside this little housing here. It's a tiny diaphragm, probably about this big. And as you twist the throttle, you can see there's a rod, it's underneath this boot. And as we twist the throttle, this other linkage actually pushes down on that rod. What that does is this takes in fuel, sends the fuel through the car body, and there's a little nozzle which you won't be able to see on the inside of the car body, and it shoots fuel. So whether the bike's on or off, every time you twist the throttle, if it has fuel in it, of course, you will be shooting a stream of fuel into the motor. So keep that in mind if you've been, doing this all day and you're about to start your bike and you're wondering why it's not going to start. It's probably because it's flooded. So let's hook some gas up, pour some gas in, should I say. And I did not bench test this carburetor. I do recommend that before well, wasting your time bolting it up, because if it ends up leaking or something's not working, you got to take it all the way back apart. It's really not worth it. Got some 91 non-ethanol going in. Now for the moment of truth. Are we gonna leak? And is our accelerator pump gonna work? Unfortunately, I won't be able to show you guys if it's working just because I have lack of room, but I am very curious. I'm not seeing any leaks yet. And of course, we're using the fuel bottle because our tank is full of rust and there's no point in putting fuel in there and wondering if our fuel valve's working or filling this thing full of rust, dirty gas, whatever the case may be. So far, it looks good. So no leaks, happy there. What I've ended up doing is hooking my little borescope, knockoff borescope deal up here, just so we can see the accelerator pump work. So this is the back side of the carburetor. This is our slide. And this little brass fitting is what shoots fuel in every time you twist the throttle. So what I'm gonna do is twist the throttle and see if we can see any fuel shooting through. Saw a little there. Ah, and we saw it right there. So every time I twist the throttle, it shoots fuel in. I'm gonna stop doing that so we don't flood this thing, but that is a big one. If that is not working, it's not gonna run right, or air-fuel ratio is gonna be off. So let's get this all removed and try to fire it up. One last thing I didn't check yet, and I should have checked from the get-go, is our oil. Let's just take a quick look at this. Oh God, it is really dark. Well, if we get it running, I'm gonna try not to run it too long, but we're definitely gonna need to change that, so. All right, so far, we've got battery, and we got power, we got spark, we have compression, we got the carburetor on, full of fuel, our accelerator pump works. We're gonna go ahead and key it on. Fingers crossed here, and I'm gonna choke it on our little handlebar lever here, and here goes nothing. I turn the choke off. Of course it died. I need to bump the idle up. Oh wow, check that out, man. Sounds like a generator. I'm gonna go ahead and crack the throttle. Turn it back on, turn our idle up. That's really impressive. Going on 16 years. Got a little smoke out the pipe, but we did put oil in the cylinder and it has been sitting for a bit. Check that out, man. That is awesome. That is so cool. I mean, this thing sounds like a freaking sewing machine. And the dual pipes, it's just awesome. Just had to open up to get all the smoke out, but I mean, look at that, man. Let's give her a couple of revs, clear some of this smoke out. So awesome. Got a slight hang. I haven't messed with the fuel screw yet, but I'm stoked. This is so awesome. Free motorcycle, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we got ourselves a runner. I'm stoked. That is so awesome. It sounds like a sewing machine, even with this garbage oil that's in it. So, hey, maybe we'll have a part 2 to this, and we'll maybe fix this bike up. I gotta price some things out and see if it's really worth, quote, restoring. But wow, yeah, that is just so awesome. A free motorcycle that runs, and it sounds really good. I'm sure it'll clear up, and once we put some fresh oil and stuff into it. So, hey, well, if there's a part 2, you guys will be the first to know. I hope you guys did enjoy. And until next time, peace out.